cut off a little bit here, huh? Let's see if I can move the tad here. Maybe move this back up a touch. There we go. Okay. Greetings. Everyone's doing a unboxing of their Seestar s50, so why should I be any different? I had been waiting to decide whether I was going to order one of these, and part of it was it's only $500, right? Well, for me, $500, I don't have always that much cash available, but I give blood every 56 days or so to my local blood service, Carolina Blood Connection. And when I do that, they give me points. Excuse me a moment. When I get these points, I put them on Amazon. Now, Agena Astro has had the ZWO S50. Now, ZWO, the S50 has been available on Amazon through Agena Astro for a $50 higher shelf cost than if you bought it straight from their website. But for me, the extra $50 wasn't a big deal because all my money for it came from blood donations. So I felt like, yeah, I can pay the extra $50. It's no big deal. Anyways, they have a $10 off if I want to spend another $90 with them, which who knows, maybe I will. But now I have the S50 for myself. And for years, I have done some imaging off and on and have had fun doing it. Of course, the drawback is that you do have to set up a lot of equipment and you have to set up your computer and go through the whole routine, which isn't so bad when you have really nice equipment and can be worthwhile. But if you want to do just really quickly that kind of stuff, it's not quick. If you, like, I've got a LX 65 dual mount that has a C6 and an 80 millimeter on it, so I can choose either of those. But I have to go and set it out, then I have to provide power for it, and then I have to do the setup, and of course have the camera. Now that one I have an ASI Air, so I know ZWO produces some pretty decent beginner and intermediate equipment for those of us in the hobby. And so I do that, but there's times when you just don't want to do that much. And even though this is only a 50 millimeter, because it does the stacking, it can do quite a bit quickly and without all the extra time for setup. So the automation is really cool. And at the price point of $500, that's astonishingly cheap. Now, there's other devices out there. There's Vaonis has got theirs, and the EV scope and such, but those are really pricey. And for the aperture and the camera and everything, it's like you're buying a whole nother setup, but you don't have any advantage of being able to change anything. You're pretty much stuck to your aperture, stuck to the camera, stuck to everything that's built into it. And this is the same way. So there's no advantage on this except the one major advantage for most of us in the hobby, which is price. At $500 here in 2024, that's cheap. When a good telescope is going to cost you more than that, just the telescope. $500 for a device like this is just like buying a movie ticket. Although, yeah, it's not cheap, but it is cheap, inexpensive. When I started this hobby, you could buy a box store telescope for around $50, $60, but you didn't get a whole lot. You got a spindly spider leg tripod and a basic, somewhere around here, I have one, a basic EQ mount that didn't really do a whole lot. And so then you had to start spending more money, and even for a basic Dobsonian, you were spending $500 to get a decent Dobsonian years ago. Now you can get an ETX, or not ETX, excuse me, an XT6 or an XT8. The prices have gone up since the pandemic, but you can get into those. But again, they're just basic telescopes, nice size mirrors, 6-8 inches. But you have to push them around. You have to put the different eyepieces into them. You have to lug them in and outside. And even a 6-inch, you're talking 35, 40 pounds that you're moving around. Now this right here, the whole thing is 10 pounds. That's pretty light. So we have our major box here, nice thick box. Then we have the packaging, really what I'd call a shelf box to show off the device. So you can see what it looks like. And just the basics here, little ideas about it. And then I have to download the app for it. Well, I'm not going to worry about that just yet. First, we're just going to do the basic unboxing here. So let me pull that out, pull this up, and then from the other unboxing videos, I'm sure you've seen this, we have the inner box, which is a high density impact foam that is pretty nice for this kind of thing. So we can set this box aside. And now this has the nice Seestar there, and nice solid high density. And to carry this around, I'd probably get another case. If somebody's not already making one, I would get a case for this to set into. And it's got just little easy clasps here. And then we can open it up. And you can see it's quite a nice design here, really. Very basic, but that's all you need kind of thing. We have the tripod here. Now, I'm going to probably not use this much. Initially, I'll use it because I don't know that I have this larger size thread on some of the tripods I've got, but I've got other tripods. But this is a pretty sturdy one, and it'll extend about twice this height in the legs. Decent quality tripod, not a chintzy little thing. And we have in here the power cord, which should be easy enough to plug this into a standard power wart for the C, or you could actually charge it off, I suppose, your laptop or in your car, in your vehicle if you're traveling. So I'm going to just open that up. Not that it's really absolutely necessary at the moment, but just want to double check it. Actually, let's see. That's interesting. Yes, that's what I thought. So it does. It has the C style, and then it's got the standard USB, large old USB style plug on that end. So you can put it into your standard adapters for your cell phone chargers, things like that. So that's a good little piece. We have a gel pack in there, which I don't need to get out. Here's the basic safety instructions. Here's the solar filter, which this is really cool too, just to let you know. Now, talking about years ago when you'd buy the cheapy telescope, they would give you what they call the solar filter, and it's screwed onto your eyepiece. Dangerous devices. Don't ever use one of those. This is a true, honest to goodness solar filter, because it's kind of like you think about welding lenses. If you're welding, you need to block out most of the light so that the arc from welding does not blind you, because it is so bright. And in fact, one of the old cheap ways to do solar observing was to use what they called a what is that, ND40, something like that. It's a 99.9% white light blockage, which means that broad spectrum, from the whole spectrum of visible light, this blocks it all, up to 0.001. I think that's right. Or 0.01. That puts it down to where it won't burn your retina, and it won't damage the telescope optics, or in this case, the camera, which is one of the other things. If you were to expose a camera to too much straight sunlight, it will burn the sensor of a camera. So be careful of that too. With this upcoming eclipse, it's an important thing to think about. Anyway, so including this, which isn't really a expensive thing because of the size, is a fantastic deal for the owners of these, because immediately are we not only being able to image daytime and nighttime, but now we can also image the sun straight off. And if you haven't seen any of the videos going around of the sunspots with the S50, I suggest you go take a look, and I'll have some up once I get this up and running. And that allows you a whole nother perspective and another avenue in our hobby of solar astronomy. Anyway, so with that upcoming eclipse, this really is a treat to have that without having to go spend money for it. And let's see, I think we said that was the safety instructions. This is the quick guide, which it has the standard newer style barcode doohickeys, and so we can scan that. And somebody was asking me on one of the groups to let them know what the version of this unit would be. Well, when I download this, it's probably going to be the latest version of the app, which will probably want to directly install the latest version of the software. And if you're not aware, people are doing some interesting things with the S50. Again, because they're only $500, there's some of the people who have been like, if I mess it up, it's only $500. And there's people that are doing equatorial mounting of these. And you heard me right. Now, these are set up to do alt-as. So you set them flat, level, and they image the sky. What people have found is they could set this up equatorially for their location and get less field rotation, being able to take the longer images, get better pictures, better results. And so I'll look at that myself. With the tripods I have, I should be able to do that. And so that's another cool thing about this. If you're buying one of the more expensive ones, I think the cheapest expensive one, they had dropped to around $1,700 for the base line of it, all the way up to $4,000 for the newest one that's coming out. Hasn't come out yet, the Origin from Seestar. That one's going to be a game changer again, because instead of being 50 millimeters or 80 millimeters, or even I think it's 100, maybe 115 or 130 millimeters for the EV scope, it's going to be 150 millimeters at f2. Now this shoots, I believe it's f5, at 5.5, and the faster the speed, the more photons are coming in and hitting the sensor, and the more data you get. Kind of like having a bigger hose for your watering can. The bigger hose, you can get more water into it quickly. And with these, the way they're set up, at about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, for all these others, they'll do okay. With the f2 on the Origin, that's going to change things dramatically. They're going to get a whole lot more light, a whole lot quicker, and with 150 millimeter aperture, they're going to have better resolution too. But these are still good. That's $4,000. This is $500. So that means this is still a pretty darn good deal. And I've thought about ways that a device like this can be used. If you've got a budget, you could set up multiples of these and do all kinds of imaging and collate the images, the data, and gather quite a bit at this 50 millimeter level, of course, but that's still pretty good for wide field looking up at the night sky. Now, if you want to look at the planets, this isn't really designed for that. This, you could see Jupiter and Jupiter's moons, but no detail. But on the moon and on the sun, because they're so much larger, so much closer, so much brighter, these will be fine. Even for the Origin, the planets are going to be kind of out of reach. The first company that really redesigns one of these to work at a longer focal length in some fashion will really hit a new goalpost, in my estimation. For instance, if you could take even a 50 millimeter like this and add a Barlow to it to change it to an f10, then you could get images of the planets at 50 millimeters. Still not super fantastic, but still something you could do, because planetary watching is a big deal in this hobby. Anyways, let me go ahead and I will pull this out. It's got a nice tight fit in there. And let's see, I will close that. Has a good solid feel on the close, so that's good. Set that out of the way. And so here we go. Here's this little sucker, the Seestar S50. And a lot of guys, they don't do this right off on their reviews. And I'm like, well, show me the bottom. So here's the bottom. And what's the big deal here? Well, the reason I wanted to see the bottom is to decipher exactly how does this rotate. Because normally, uh, with some of my bigger telescopes, it has a base that sits still, and then a set of forks that rotate around. On one of my forks here, let me grab one back here. I can get it out of here, and I'll show you. Here's a regular fork, alt as, when it's just set up. And see, the base just stays there, and then this just rotates around. And up here, this is your azimuth, this is your altitude, and if you had it hooked up, which I don't here, the tube's gone, this would raise and lower. Okay, so in this design, you just attach this base, and you don't have to worry about it. Well, now, move that out of the way. With this, what rotates is all of this. So this cinches down onto the tripod head. Let me get the tripod out here so you can see. So that screws in there, and that's all that it's really sitting on here is this little disc, and I'll just tilt that up for you. See that little thin disc height there? So this, the rest of this just rotates around. Okay. And so that was one of the things I was wondering about, and nobody was showing the base of it. And personally, I would like to see a base system where on here you would put another base with a roller bearing under here for support. And because that's just too little support to me. I know they're not planning on you doing a whole lot, have a lot of other stuff on this, but it's just something that I think from a design perspective, they could have done a roller bearing base on here, and that would allow you to adapt it even better to some other designs. So I'll probably work out something for my own use here that will help that. Anyways, basically, this is what you get. It's this small unit, and it'll set up on the tripod. And again, I probably am not going to use this much. One of the drawbacks to the ones that have been out there, not including the Origin that's coming up, is that they have these really short tripods, which means that this unit is very close to the ground. Not a problem if you're in very arid locations, but if you're in where I am, like South Carolina, or in much more humid locations, do you know what's down there close to the ground? Moisture. And moisture is not good for your optics. They will cloud up, fog up, and there go some of your images. Now, that's where taking and putting this on a better tripod, something that stands up at least 32 to 36 inches or more above the ground, to me is much more ideal. That was one of the things I looked at in a lot of the first telescopes they released, the Vaonis models especially. I was like, here, they have this beautiful large body, but it's way down on the ground in all that ground clutter, and that's an issue. Not only a safety issue, but a performance issue that if you've been in this hobby long enough and have used telescopes enough around a lot of different areas, you'd go, yeah, I don't like that. I want to put it on something taller. Anyways, getting back to this, um, I'm going to be using this here in South Carolina. I had hoped to get up to the full solar eclipse area, but that's not going to work out for me this year, unfortunately. We had the last one in 2017 come through here, and the next one through the United States, totality, is some 30, 40 years from now, I think they said. So I might be around, but maybe not. So if I ever wanted to go someplace, this will be the one to take because it'll be so compact. You can take it on an airplane, fly wherever, take it on board a ship, and just do what you need to do uh, for a solar eclipse. And we'll be able to use this for the lunar occultations, all kinds of things like that. It's just a neat device. On top of that, this is pretty cool because you can use it during the day, and so I'll probably set it up and play around with that too for daytime terrestrial um, watching, like birds. Yeah, you think about it, this will give a view high in the trees of birds and whatnot, so that'll be interesting. Um, so there's a lot more that people are doing with these, experimenting around. Some have actually taken these apart and shown what they are inside. Now, one of the reasons this is $500 is because a lot of the components inside are plastics, which that's not really a big deal because nothing in here runs extremely fast. And as long as you're careful, not forcing things and not putting extreme weight, there's no reason that the plastic in it should wear out anytime soon. And if you're using it extensively, let's say you wear it out in 2 or 3 years, so what? It was $500. You can expense that out $1 a day. You say, oh, well, I just don't go to Starbucks this year. Buy you another one. Buy you something for the stars. So, some fun there for you. Anyways, that's my unboxing for this right now. Again, you got the S50, you got the solar filter, you got a charging cord, got a nice case over here. So this is going to be a lot of fun to take and use outside. And so my next video will be getting the app loaded in. I'll get that loaded in, and then we will turn it on and have it outside and have some fun with it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye now.